What's up, guys? It's Patreon. Only Patreon, so I'm smoking. I'm sorry. I'm just chilling here talking with you guys. Um, in all honesty, the reason why I'm here is I want to discuss, why some teams spend a lot of money in free agencies and others don't. And I know a lot of you believe that, you know exactly why this happens, but I was thinking there are times when GMs and teams who generally don't spend a lot in free agency have a year where they absolutely do. Look, like, the Patriots this offseason, right? Big time. They blew up a lot of money in free agency, and generally they don't do it. Chris Ballard has spent money in free agency on specific players, but he hasn't been put in the same position that Bill Belichick is in right now this year. Chris Ballard has been doing things and everything's been working his way. But then again, Ballard hasn't been a GM long enough for the same team to be in Bill Belichick's position. Now, generally, what a team was going to want to do, obviously, what everybody knows about is he wants to. A GM wants to draft and get their own guys. That's where a ton of research goes into, right? They go into looking at these college players, looking at where they're going to be selecting them, the type of character they are, whether or not they're a scheme fit, whether or not they like the overall abilities of a player, things like that. So yeah, drafting is by far the way to build a team. You don't build a team through free agency. The majority of fans know this. But what is the situation when blowing a bunch of money in free agency works well for you? Well, let me tell you. Spending money in free agency works when you've had some bad years drafting and unable to keep some guys. You have 3 or 4 years of drafting where people that just want to leave your team, and your cupboards are utterly bare, right? You have a very bare cupboard, and you have a ton of money to spend, and you're looking for guys to fill positions that have talent. You have guys there that is the basis of a good team, but not a playoff caliber team yet, right? And that's where Bill Belichick was sitting in. I mean, he lost a ton of very big time players. He just lost Edelman. He lost Gronk a couple years ago. He lost Brady last year. He's lost a bunch of different guys. Defensively, he lost some guys. He got some of those guys back this offseason by buying them in the, free agency. But wide receiver was very bare because he not drafted well there, pass rush, he was kind of bare in that situation. Stopping the run, those gap control guys, those positions needed filled. And he had a ton of money. Now, you don't want to go out and fill all those positions with old guys, obviously. And you're just not going to spend money on talent, right? You have to know these guys. You have to know their personality, whether they fit with your scheme, whether they fit with your philosophy, that kind of stuff. So it's actually a lot more difficult to go out and buy people in free agency because it's like a massive, like, 10,000 piece puzzle you're trying to put together. And this guy, this one person that is basically this one little piece you have to fit right there, even though the other pieces around it ain't there yet, right? You have to know what you're looking for and know how to fit that in. Now, when you go out and buy somebody that you feel is the perfect piece for a group, like what Ballard would do, right? Or what Belichick would do normally in free agency is your 10,000 piece puzzle is pretty much full, and you have little spots here and there that are missing a piece. And you know what the surrounding around that player is already going to look like. And you're just looking for that one player that's going to fit perfectly right in that little slot, you know? And that's when you spend your money on somebody that's got talent that can, do that. But when you have a puzzle like what Bill Belichick had, where, he's able to go out and buy half a board, but at the same time, half your board is missing, right? You just got pieces all over the place, missing everywhere. That is a difficult thing to do. And I would not be surprised if a few of these guys just don't work out, But at the same time, it's a good time to do it. When you got the money, you spend your money on guys who are young that you have a very good feeling about. They don't necessarily, you don't jump out at you. Like for instance, he likes Hunter Henry. We all knew he liked Hunter Henry. So Hunter Henry was signed. He's kind of that Gronkish type player, which fits his offensive scheme. But then you got guys like Jonnu Smith, who just is boom out there talent-wise, has potential, right, to be a big-time tight end. And he's like, you know what, I'm going to take a chance on this guy, and I'm going to pay him a ton of money and a long-term contract, and I'm going to try to make this piece here fit. And that's fine in his present situation. Chris Ballard or Belichick in previous years, they don't do that because they're putting their puzzle together over a period of time. And he's already got a plan. He knows what his puzzle looks like, his finished product looks like, and he's getting these pieces year after year, which makes things a lot easier, whereas instead of just grabbing all these pieces at once to fill half your board, he's like, all right, I'm going to fill 1/10 of my board this year with these guys that we have went out and done all this research on and know that they're going to fit. And then not only that, they're coming into your organization. So they're not going to be messed up by some other organization at all. Like let's say, for instance, Hunter Henry, right? You know that Hunter Henry was a Charger. You don't know what that locker room was like. You don't know what that coaching experience like that was like. You don't know if those 4 years that he had with that team is you have to unlearn a lot of what he learned that is stuck in his head for those 4 years. This is his only experience in professional football. And he's got to come in and basically be an open book. And that's difficult for free agents. That's why, these guys, your GMs, you generally don't do that a whole lot. And that's what happens when a lot of your players, your star players, get older or want to move on after a long period of time, and then all of a sudden your cupboard's bare. And it sucks. And it'll probably happen with Ballard at some point, right? He's only been here 4 years. So, only been with the Colts for 4 years. If he's still the GM with the Colts, which I hope he is, because I think he's an excellent GM, 10 years down the road, he could very well find himself in the same position. For instance, his 2018 draft was a home run out of the park, right? There's only 2 players out of 11 that he drafted in 2018 that's still not on the team, right? And those 2 players are still playing in the NFL. They're just not on the team. And they're both wide receivers, which is kind of odd. But anyhow, so those group of guys who are actually coming up to get this year, need extensions. Let's say in 5 years down the road, they're going to need more extensions. And the Colts can't afford them because, let's say, he continues to draft well. and or doesn't draft well. Something happens, right? And he just don't have the money to re-sign these guys. You know, that would suck, but it happens a lot. That's what happened with, Bill Belichick. And then he's going to be in a very similar situation. Do I think that Belichick made a mistake? No. And this situation is perfectly okay. And the way he's designing up the contracts, he's not trying to kill himself over the next 4 years of these long-term contracts that he has with guys like Jonnu Smith or Hunter Henry or, his pass rusher that he picked up or, guys like that he's got signed. They're all young, and he designed those contracts properly so they won't hurt him long term. So he'll be able to go back to his original form of trying to build through the draft and not be blowing up money on free agency like he did this year. Every once in a while, you have to do something like this. And it sucks for a lot of teams, but at the same time, if you do it right, it helps more than hurts. Now, with the Colts back in the day, Ryan Grigson, the GM there, he was a terrible drafter, right? After the 2012 draft, every draft he had was really pretty poor. He had a couple guys that he got that wasn't bad. His last year, he picked up Ryan Kelly, the first decent pick he's had in a long time with the Colts, right? Still on the team, got his extension, blah, blah, blah. But there was a lot of misses because he was spending a lot of money in free agency, buying players from other teams that may or may not fit his scheme, instead of drafting guys that he knows is going to fit perfectly, and he don't have to reteach them year after year, and they're only going to get better in the scheme and around the players that he is. There's no reset, right? When you re-sign a player that you've had, that you drafted 4 years, there's no reset there of them having to relearn a playbook or relearn the scheme or understand the players around you. There's no reset with that. This upcoming season with Bill Belichick and the Patriots, there's a lot of players that there's a reset for, right? A lot. Not excluding the rookies that they picked up. They're basically a lot like rookies where, they don't know the players around them. These free agents that he picked up. They don't know the playbook. They don't know the scheme. They don't know the locker room mentality. They don't understand how each individual person is going to be playing around them so that, they have that mental link around. It takes time to build that. And the longer players are with a team and you can re-sign your own guys, it means you don't have that reset and you just continue rolling and just getting better rather than having a little dip in performance. Even though you got the talent there, you still will have a dip in performance because they, completely different situation for them. Different team, have to relearn a lot of new stuff. So, yeah, I get it. Like Carson Wentz, right? Yes, him and Reich are known each other back in 2017, but he still has to relearn a whole bunch of stuff. All these players around him, the locker room mentality, all that stuff. It's a reset button for Carson Wentz. How long he's able to project back up to that, being comfortable and understanding the players around him and the playbook and the scheme, and the locker room and all that. How long it takes him to build back up. That's what's going to hold the Colts back. That's why you don't expect rookies after a draft to blow up. Generally, it takes 2 or 3 years for rookies because they are learning all this stuff. And there's a reset for free agents. Very similar, generally, in a lot of positions. Pass rush, offensive linemen, quarterbacks. Those are guys that there's a reset generally when they're signed as free agents. Because as a pass rusher, you need to know what the other defensive guys around you are doing in order to be to bring your abilities to bear and perform at your best that you can. Offensive lineman, you got to know. I mean, if you're a guard or a tackle, you need to know what the guy around you, beside you, how he's going to react. That in order for you to be as good as you possibly can be. Quarterbacks, it's not just a playbook. You got to understand the receivers, how your offensive line blocks for you. You got to understand where the running back likes to get the ball handed to him, or you know, the speed. You got to understand each receiver's speed, their height, where they want the ball placed. There's so much to learn, which is why sometimes signing guys in free agency, again, there's a dip in performance. And the more guys you get in free agency, there's a dip in performance. Maybe not long term, but short term, there it is there. But hey, guys, man, I just wanted to put this out for you, put my thoughts out there about this. I think the Colts will be okay because they're a run-heavy team. And I think they can lean on that to get Carson Wentz a little more, give him a few weeks to get used to the guys around him, the playbook and all that neat stuff. I don't expect Carson Wentz to light the scoreboard up or the stat sheet up the first 2 or 3 games. Just like, with the Patriots, because of all the guys that they have right now, their D-line is going to take a little bit of time to get synced up, right? Their pass rush, I think their tight ends and wide receivers, that whole offense outside of the run game is going to take time to get synced up. So I don't expect them to be top dogs, early on. But I think as the season progresses, that speed bump will start to level out. And the longer those guys are there, the better the team will perform as a team. But again, all you guys who are patrons, thank you so much. I just wanted to put this out there for you. Let me know what you think, okay? Let me know what you think. And I'll talk to you later, man. Have a good one.